Hey guys, this is going to be my final section of my comprehensive genie guide for archers, and this section will cover the terrible skills that you should probably never ever have. It's going to be a little bit ranty because these skills that I'm about to cover are basically terrible, and I basically just don't like. I have no respect for any archers that really use them, really, unless they can use it effectively. So yeah, the first skill is my number one hate, Tree of Protection. So many archers still have Tree of Protection in 2012. I mean, this skill was alright in like 2009, and even then it was like barely okay, and right now it's just not holding up against like 90 something attack levels from your rank 9 archer with like 20k physical attack, and that's not even counting like the crit rate and like demon quickshot procs if that actually triggers. But yeah, this skill is terrible if you do charm PvP or any sort of competitive PvP, unless say you're rank 9 plus 12 full Jade of Steady Defense or something similar and fully buffed, so say you don't get killed in like under 10 seconds or something like that, and even then it's still has its limited uses. This section recovers about I think 60 or 70% of your total HP in practice over 6 seconds. But the really annoying thing about this skill is not its energy usage, although that does kind of play into it. Is the really annoying thing about this skill is the fact that the first tick of healing only ticks after 3 seconds. And then only ticks for like 30%, and then the other 30 or 40% or whatever it is that it heals for, like actually heals for, it only ticks after the 6 seconds. So you get one tick after 3 seconds that you use the skill, and another tick at 6 seconds after you use the skill. And I'll explain why this is bad. Say in a scenario where you actually need Tree of Protection, so like normally when you use a defensive skill is say after charm tick and before you're about to die. So if I had absolute domain, I would probably, and I have 13k HP, I'll wait for my charm tick, and then I'll wait for my health to like dip below 5k or 6k, and look at my cooldown on my charm. If it's near cooldown, I probably wouldn't use it, and hover over the button, and if my charm doesn't tick before my health goes down really low, then use absolute domain. And same goes for expel and any other normal defensive skills. But with Tree of Protection, you have this 3 second kind of like lag, if you want to call it, between when you actually use the skill and when it actually takes it, the effect actually takes place. So essentially what you have to do for this skill is that to use it effectively, you have to use it preemptively. Now if you use this skill preemptively, and it actually does save your ass, like on one of the rare occasions, you probably wasted it anyway, because what I found when I had this skill was that if you use it preemptively, like most of the time you could have survived without it anyway, and what you've done is just wasted 115 fucking genie energy that you could have used for something more useful like Fortify or Holy Path or even expel. So yeah, that's why Tree of Protection really sucks. And the only real use I see for it is say you're like fighting a cleric or something, so they got you down to 55% HP, and they slept you, and now they're just like stacking heals on them and going for like the triple spark kill combo that they use and stuff. So then I see Tree of Protection slightly useful in that it can force tick your own charm to tick you back to full HP, and then after the if you use it, if you time it correctly, then you can probably like tick heal the first attack of the cleric. This skill is kind of useful in charmless PvP because it does recover a lot of your HP, but I would argue that if in PWI you're doing uncharmed PvP, you probably wouldn't survive long anyway as an archer, regardless of buffs and gear and stuff, just because how bad archer survivability is versus like a fellow rank 9. So yeah, that kind of sums it up for Trio Protection. Basically, it's a useless skill. Don't have it. Its lag really like kills you. I mean, like, if you have Fraps or some sort of like game recording software, go out PvP, see how you use Trio Protection. I would argue that most of the time you're using Trio Protection Survive, you've used it. You basically wasted it. Yeah, and most of the time, and some of the other time that you use it, you probably wouldn't survive at all. So yeah, so use the skill unless you're rank 9 plus 12 Jade of Steady Defense or something like that with like 15k HP, and then it becomes kind of useful because you got enough base defense in order to not get like raped in under 6 seconds or something. So yeah. Second skill I hate is Windshield. I don't mind using this skill offensively, even though I personally find it annoying that it removes my evasion buff from Wings of Protection. But there are some archers who use Windshield as a defensive skill, and I just don't get why they would. I mean, at level 10, it reduces the damage you take by 15% for 8 seconds. I know at level 10 its energy usage is still kind of low, but it's a 15% damage decrease. Like, let me put this into perspective. A 15% damage reduction, assuming you're charmed and you're at full HP, it's basically a 10% HP buff. Like a whole HP bar is 100% of your health, and the bit before your charm tick is 50%, so that's 150%, and 15% of that 150% is 10%. So yeah, it's basically a 10k HP buff. 10% HP buff rather. Now take your HP and add 10% to that. So I have 13k HP or close enough. Adding 10% to that is not a lot. I mean, adding 10% to that is only 14.5k HP, and that doesn't really make me any less killable. I mean, what is, like, take your average rank 8 archer or something like that, they'll probably have 7k HP max. Adding 10% to that gives them another 700 HP points, and that's essentially what level 10 Windshield does. It gives you like 10% more HP. Well, it's the same in survivability terms. And 700 HP is basically 2 attacks by an unsparked assassin on a rank 8 archer. A G15 or G16 assassin probably can deal 700 damage on me in about 2 attacks as well, and that's fully buffed with Jade of Steady Defense. Rank 9 Sparked can probably deal 10% of my HP in 1 or 2 hits, depending if they Zerk crit or not. So yeah, the survivability Windshield offers over 8 seconds, in my opinion, is really nothing. I mean, even if you had a high dex genie with, say, 80 dex, so you have 25% damage reduction, it's still nothing. I mean, most weapons in this game have a damage range variation of over 25%. I mean, takes like our bows for example, its base damage range is like 40%, and once you've taken into account your dex multiplier and other multipliers and refined it and sharded it, the damage range is still like 30%. So even if you have a high dex genie with Windshield, you're still gonna be you still could be done over by the fact that if you use Windshield on like a high end, it's still the same as not using Windshield on low ends. So still an element of chance to that, and it still could get you killed. And at the end of the day, 25% is not that much. On the Dex Genie, you probably only have like 150 energy or something like that. So having level 10 Windshield and using it would mean that you use a third of your energy, and nearly as much energy as like Badge of Courage. And I would argue that Badge of Courage is probably more useful on a Dex Genie than Windshield can ever be. unless you're like, I don't know, like sealed and frozen, and that's basically a stun, but Badge of Courage has nothing to do with that. But then you should use like remove paralysis and then go into a pot. So yeah, once again, like if you have windshield, you should probably analyze your gameplay and see how you do with and without windshield. I mean, if you're Sage and using it for APS, fair enough, although Sage probably shouldn't be like going APS anyway. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's your choice, but I would argue that windshield is probably useless for a lot of the archers, especially considering how much of the archer population is actually demon.